We were worried, weren't we, in the last game when we previewed the Orient game because of what happened at Reading in the game before and how tired the players looked. We felt there'd be rotation. Chris Davis took us all by surprise. He didn't make any rotation. In fact, the only new players in the starting lineup against Leyton Orient were teams that were players that had replaced injured players, which is why I think that this is going to be a very similar lineup actually. So welcome back to BCFC Royal Blue, and what a tasty game we have next up for Birmingham City at St.Andrews at Knightheadpark. It's a clash of the top two as we take on Wycombe Wanderers. Really important game for Birmingham City. Birmingham City currently 9 points ahead of Wycombe with a game in hand, but we know that this is going to be a real tough game because Wycombe, just like us, are going to be gunning for automatic promotion. So in this podcast, myself and Matt are going to preview the game, give our thoughts on Wycombe Wanderers, and maybe have a chat about our own Blues team, about who'll be starting. So, yeah, a really tasty one this, Matt. Wycombe Wanderers at home.
It's the first time I've heard you call a football game tasty. But you're right, it's a big game, isn't it? And I think I'll start this one similar to how I started the Orient one day. You know, fair play to Wycombe. They're having a great season. And me and you did a video at the very start of the season, and we went through every single team, and we gave our opinion on where they might finish. And I think for Orient, getting mixed up on the old video, for Wycombe, sorry, I think I may have said playoffs or around the playoffs because they finished 10th last season. So I thought maybe 6th or 7th would have been a good season for them. But actually, they're second. They are having a cracking season, high scorers. I think they're about 7th or 8th in the possession table as well. Overall, having a good season. But I don't think I appreciated, Dad, when we beat them 3-2 at their place, how much of a massive 3 points that was going to be. I mean, did you? I mean, just to let you know, Wycombe fans, Blues fans, if you're watching, that away day as well at Wycombe, the sun was out. It was the summer was drawing to an end. A couple of nice beers. That was up there for me as one of my favourite away days this season.
It was our first away game, wasn't it, in the league, and our first experience really this season of a League One ground. I enjoyed it, and I after that game didn't feel that Wycombe were anything special after we played them at their place, and so they have done exceptionally well. But they've had a bit of upheaval recently, haven't they? They lost Matt Bloomfield to Luton Town, which I thought was a very strange
That's an
move.
odd decision, isn't it?
I don't get that, but anyway, that's their business. But they've appointed Mike Dodds, who was is he number 2 or was number 2 at Sunderland?
Okay.
He's their manager now. As you say, I mean, you can't argue with their form. Just so that get a bit of context in terms of how they're doing at the moment. They're currently 8th in the form table with 13 points of the last 8 games. Because we'll see in a minute they've drawn a lot of games. The home table, they are 6th. They're top of the away points. So they've got 32 points away, which makes it a dangerous game for us. 32 points from 16 games. We've got 31 from 15. So actually, if we win the extra game, we will have more away points than them. But they've got 32 points away.
Isn't it?
That's a lot. That's a lot at this stage of the season. They've, as you said, Matt, they scored the most goals with 58. And defensively, they got the 6th best defence, conceding only 31 goals in their 32 games. But I wanted to highlight some of their results because I think that there's obviously been Wycombe had this. Firstly, they lost the first 2 games of the season. Then they went on this amazing
19 games.
Yeah, and they won the vast majority of those as well. There's a couple of draws in there.
I think it was 17 wins and 2 draws, I think. And that is outstanding.
Yeah, which took them to the top. And,
Yeah.
But then if you look at their last, I'm going to pick their games really from January onwards. So they lost at home to Huddersfield on the 7th of January, okay? Then listen to some of these teams that they've been playing. Then after that, on the 18th of January, they won 2-1 away at Mansfield. Then 25th of January, they drew 0-0 at home to Northampton. Then they beat Barnsley at home 2-1. And then on the 1st of February, they drew 1-1 at Cambridge and then 1-1 in the game after against Crawley. They beat Bristol Rovers 2-0. And then the last game, they drew 0-0 with Wigan. So they've dropped points in those draws against quite a number of teams that are actually in the bottom 6.
Yeah.
Which surprises me if you look at where they are in the league, that they've not sort of picked up more points in those games.
Also, as well, Dad, I think they've got a difficult run to the end of the season. You know, you mentioned on the Orient post-match a couple of days ago, Dad, yesterday, by the time this goes out, you mentioned that once we play Wycombe and Bolton, a lot of our remaining games are from in the bottom half of the table.
Half or below.
Half or below. And I think Wycombe have a lot of games half and above. Yeah,
let me tell you who Wycombe have still got to play. So they've got to play Birmingham City away, which is the game that we're previewing today. They've got to also play Wrexham at home. They've got to play Stockport at home. They've got to play Huddersfield away. They've got to play Leyton Orient away. They've got to play Charlton at home. They've got to play Bolton away and Reading away. So they've got to play everybody, every single team in the top 9. But that top 9 includes them. So it's actually 8 teams. But they've got to play every single one of those opposition, at least home or away. Yeah. That's tough at this stage of the season. When you think that is 8 games out of another they've got 14 games left, so 8 of those 14 games are against the top 8. That's a tough running for them.
That is tough,
and that's why I highlighted the draws that I've just highlighted, because they are teams that you would have expected them to have picked up more points. So I think they're going to have a tough end to the season, Wycombe.
I'd love to know why that dip in form has happened. Is it the Matt Bloomfield leaving? Is it Richard Kone being injured? There's a few things happening. I mean, they lost a few of their loan players. I think Bolton recalled one of their players from Wycombe, and he was having a really good season. His name's completely eluding me, but a good player. So there has been...
West Brom recalled Caleb Taylor, and then a few weeks later, they got him back again.
Yeah. So I think... Yeah. I wouldn't use the word turmoil, but there's been a lot of change. There's been a lot of change. Obviously, Kone is their big... I mean, Luton offered, was it 6 million for him or 7 million?
I think it's closer to 7.
A lot of money, and...
I think that's where the disruption is, Matt. So if you look at their results, particularly in January, there's lots of draws in there. But they had the upheaval of losing Matt Bloomfield, and they had lots of other players linked with other clubs, particularly Richard Kone.
Yeah.
So that's not going to have helped their team as well. And of course, when they get a new manager coming, then they're adjusting to a new manager's ethos, style, and stuff like that. Yeah. So I can see why that they've dropped points, but I think they'll be disappointed with their results over the last half a dozen games with those teams that they've drawn against.
I mean, I'd love to know Wycombe's perspective on Kone. I mean, for me personally, as a Blues fan, and I've seen Kone, granted, 6 or 7 games, he does not look like a £7 million player to me personally. And I think they should have cashed in on that while his stock was high.
They should have snapped Luton
£7 million
for £7 million. He's not going to be worth that in the summer.
No.
I don't think they'll get anywhere near £7 million for him, and he'll probably want to move on if they don't get promoted. But let's just talk about
that's Wycombe's business.
Wycombe, we know that they play decent football, so they're a team that we've got to be very wary of. They're very strong on finishing scoring chances, so they obviously put a lot of their chances away, creating chances through individual skill. We know they've got a bit of pace in the team as well. They're strong at attacking down the wings and set pieces, and also they're good at coming back from losing positions. I think their away record has shown that as well.
They love a late goal as well, Dad. The amount of times I've been checking the scores when we were at St.Andrews or when we're at an away day and Wycombe have scored in the 85th.
Or Wrexham. It's Wycombe or Wrexham. It's an 89th, 90th minute winner. But that's how you win games. That's how you get. That's actually how you get promoted. Is to actually get those points when you're not.
No, it's a compliment.
When you're up against the wall. The weaknesses they're not good at defending against attacks down the wings. Maybe that's something we could exploit, but we know that we've got injuries in those positions for our wingers, so we might need to take a slightly different tack. But the style of play is that they like to dominate the game in the opposition's half where they can. I think they'll struggle to do that with us at St Andrews. They like attacking down the middle, and opponents play aggressively against them as well, so which you sort of have to stop them playing. So clearly you can't argue that they're a team in second place. They have played good football and they're a dangerous threat, and it's going to be a tough game, this one.
Yeah, a lot of your strengths and weaknesses I've picked up on as well, Dad, and I think another one which is really key, and we saw it twice against us at Wycombe, they're extremely fast on the transition. Yeah. So if you get punished with the ball in your own half and they can break, they can punish you quickly. And I remember it happening twice. Remember at Wycombe, the first goal, it was an own goal from Bielek. It was a bit of a difficult one because it was an awkward cross that came in. It was an own goal, but it was the speed they came down that wing. Yeah. And then for their second goal, I think it was someone on the edge of our box didn't have a shot properly. They cleared it. They went down the left wing, crossed it in, and they headed in and they scored. And it made that last 10 minutes of the game so nerve-wracking. But the point stands, they can catch you on the transition very quickly. And we've seen it with Blues, haven't we? A few teams have caught us out by being quick on the transition sometimes. So we do need to be wary of that. I like their cohesion and resilience. Being able to score goals in the last minutes of the game. They can keep a clean sheet. They're pretty solid defensively, and all the stats you pointed to earlier shows a team that are in the contention for being promoted, don't it? It's simple as that. They're having a good season. And a few weaknesses for me, Dad. When you get a foothold in the game, if again, like we saw at Wycombe earlier in the season, they can struggle to get into the game. You know, if you can keep a hold of possession, they can struggle. And I've seen this. I watched the Wycombe Huddersfield game, and they have moments of really sloppy passing.
Yeah.
You know, really couldn't link up the play. It kept getting. I mean, Huddersfield played a good game in terms of nullifying that attack, but they had moments where they just couldn't get firing, and I think sometimes that can be happening in Wycombe games as well. But overall, Dad, you know, you can't knock their away form. Our home form is outstanding, though, but this is definitely going to be a tough game.
It is, and just a few things on their players. Clearly, Richard Kone has been out injured for a few games, and I've noticed in the last couple of games he's been on the bench.
Yeah.
So I've got a feeling that he may start against us. I don't know his fitness levels, but I've seen him sort of on his way back.
Well, I saw him at the weekend, Dad. He came on at like 65, 66 minutes.
Yeah, so he's obviously building his fitness back up,
yeah.
but he's going to be available for them against us. They brought in a couple of January signings, Mangus Vestergaard, a central midfielder, and Anders Hagleskar, a centre back. So obviously they've got Scandinavian.
I'm glad you pronounced those, not me. I'd have butchered that.
I'm just fluent in Scandinavian. But I don't think those two players have at the moment really made any major impacts on their team. They've got Aaron Morley, a central midfielder on loan from Bolton. Javier Simons, a defensive midfielder from Hull City, and also clearly Caleb Taylor, who actually is probably one of their best players, Caleb Taylor. He done very well at the beginning of the season, and then obviously West Brom recalled him when Tony Mowbray was first appointed, and then decided actually we'll send him back again. So he's an important player for them as well. So they've got the two good players. Their top scorer, Richard Kone,
of course,
16 goals. Daniel Udo, 7. I previewed him in the highlighted him as a real threat in the original game right at the beginning of the season. He scored 7 goals, and I think for him that's quite a disappointing season, but he's fast as well. Cameron Humphreys, central midfielder with 6 goals. Then they've got Fred Ongiame, 6 goals, and Joe Lowe, 4 goals. And obviously they've got assists, Cameron Humphreys, 6 assists, Gareth McCreely, right winger, 6. So we know they've got goals because they're the top scorers in the division. So I think, you know, with our defence, it's going to be an interesting game because we have got exceptionally good. We've conceded 4 goals in the last 17 games.
When you say it out loud, it's staggering, isn't it?
It is staggering. So they will have an attack, but they're going to have a job to score against us as well. I mean, they can because they do, and they do score goals. But it's going to be one of those games where I think that it's going to be hopefully a good game of football. Maybe against a team that will hopefully come at us, which teams don't tend to do that. St Andrews do that. So it's going to be very interesting to see how Wycombe set themselves up.
But whenever teams do that, it plays into our hands, and we usually play a pretty good game, don't we? What we struggle with this season is the low block sometimes because we end up getting stuck in this horseshoe. But when teams come at us, it plays into our hands.
Yeah, but come on, Wycombe, you're second. Why would you have the low block against us? You're second in the league. You know, you surely you're going to have a bit of confidence and come forward.
Don't know about that, and don't call me Shirley. Should we get on to the Blues team then? Had to get it in there. It's a classic airplane. Blues team then. So I'll go through the defence, and then you can go through the midfield and attacking line. And to be fair, I mean, there's 2 questions here, isn't there? One, what would we want to see, I guess, and what do we think Chris Davies is going to pick? I, again, would like to see a little bit of rotation, but at least there's a bigger gap here than from Saturday to Tuesday, to Saturday. That's like a tongue twister. But it's not, there's a bit more rest, isn't there? So they're not going to be
only a day or so.
Yeah, but it makes a massive difference.
It is a 12:30 kickoff as well, Blues fans. Don't forget that. It's sold out as well.
Sold out?
Yeah,
I
noticed today.
Oh, that's why I got an email saying you can sell your ticket because they only do that on sellouts, don't they?
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, so Wycombe's sold out, but it is a 12:30 kickoff.
It is a 12:30 kickoff.
Yeah, so we do play early, so less of a break.
Yeah, okay, so I've gone for Allsop Dad in goal.
Yeah.
Cochrane left back.
Yeah.
Clara and Clara and Davies in the middle, and then Laird right back. I've kept it exactly the same as the last couple of games.
So have I. That's what I've done as well. We were worried when we in the last game when we previewed the Orient game because of what happened at Reading in the game before and how tired the players looked. We felt there'd be rotation. Chris Davis took us all by surprise. He didn't make any rotation. In fact, the only new players in the starting lineup against Leyton Orient were teams that were players that had replaced injured players, which is why I think that this is going to be a very similar lineup actually. But shall I go on to the midfield?
Go for it, Dad. Yeah.
Right, then I think I'm very similar again. I think we'll have Paken and Water in the middle. Taylor Gardner-Hickman, I think, is done enough to start again on the left. I think Hansen is still not 100% fit. He didn't look too bad actually, did he? When he came in, he weren't spectacular, but he weren't poor either.
No, he's tidy. I think the word I'd use for Hansen is tidy. He's just a solid, tidy footballer. You know,
but I don't think he's quite ready to start a game. I think that's why I think we'll probably go with the energy of Taylor Gardner-Hickman on the left. And again, Taylor Gardner-Hickman is not a left winger, and he's clearly not a left winger, but he'll put the effort in and he'll try his best. So Pakenawata in the middle. I think he will go again with the Dowell on the right and Williamson in that number 10. They're feeding into Alfie May.
So exactly the same as the Orient team.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah,
I think I agree. I've got exactly the same, and the reason being is because of injuries. So we haven't got the options to bring Keshi Anderson, Scott Wright on, Jay Stansfield on because they're injured. Dykes even as well, maybe. So we're kind of limited, especially on the right and the left wings, aren't we? They're really being hammered at the minute, and I guess the centre mids as well. So my only other thing, Dad, was going to be to maybe give either Paik and Awata a rest and maybe put Bielek in. Just
not in this game.
No, it won't. No. But it won't be. But I was just thinking
there will be games coming up that could potentially happen.
I'm just thinking again behind the scenes about fitness levels. If one of them is shattered, then that could be an option.
Yeah.
And my only other one would be swapping Taylor Gardner-Hickman for Hansen if Hansen was more fit than we think. But if not, Paik and Awata, Taylor Gardner-Hickman, Williamson, Dowell, May.
Yeah, so basically the same. So we're basically, both of us are picking the same starting lineup as we had against Leyton Orient.
Yes, and I think this is actually going to be quite a similar game, Dad, to when we played them at theirs. I think we're going to have a lot of the ball, we're going to have a lot of possession, and I think they might bank on... They're not going to do the low block, they're not going to park the bus like other teams have, but they will, I think, be their biggest threat on the counter-attack.
Yeah, okay, so what about score prediction then?
So I think this is going to be close, but I think with our home form, the way we only conceded 4 goals in the last 16, 17 games.
17 games.
Absolutely staggering, especially at St.Andrews. It's going to be tight. I'm going to go for the same score as Orient, Dad. I'm going to go for Birmingham City 2, Wycombe 0.
2-0. Okay, yeah. I think it's inevitable at some point that we are going to concede a goal, right? It will happen, and I'm going to plump for that in this game. I think because Wycombe are a good side, they're in second league, but I'm still going to go for Birmingham 2, Wycombe 1.
Okay. That was my prediction for the Orient game. Yeah, interesting. Okay.
Yeah, I think I think our defence is brilliant, but these have got a threat up front, and if anybody is going to score against it, it's going to be them. I think from the games that we got left. So I'm going to go 2-1 to Birmingham City.
I just with Clara and Davies and Allsop in goal. I mean, it would be ridiculous to go the rest of the season without conceding a single goal because human errors happen, set pieces happen, bad refereeing decisions happen. There's a whole list of reasons why you'd concede a goal, but when I just look at Clara, Davies and our defence, unbelievable, formidable, aren't they? I mean, they are absolutely outstanding.
It is. I think as well, we've still got Stansfield to come back. Keshi, it'll be a little while, but Chris Davies said that he's just a knock, so they're just monitoring him. So I don't think it's a serious injury for Keshi. So we have got some progressive attacking players to come back, and I'll be more confident with those in the team in terms of predicting more goals. So I'm predicting 2-1. If we had Stansfield and Anderson, I'd probably go for 3-1. I think with our injuries, we've shown against Orient, we can grind out results against teams that play an excessive low block against us.
I could see this being 0-0 at half, kind of similar to the Orient game, Dad. I could see this being 0-0 at half time, and then kind of we get 2 goals quite late on in the second half. I could see that. What does Chris Davies call it? I always forget the term, pounding the rock.
Pounding the rock,
So what we do, and we've done very successfully this season, is tire teams out, haven't we? We pass it around. We are very good at keeping hold of the ball, and we do shatter teams out. You can see it, can't you? About 70, 75 minutes at St Andrews, other teams are just breathing out their backside, aren't they? They really are shattered. So I think we'll see that again. I think we'll see 2 late-ish goals. And Birmingham City 2, Wycombe 0.
That'll do. So as you can see, Blues fans, myself and Matt are both predicting another Birmingham City win at home. But we'd love to know your thoughts on the game, maybe the starting lineup, or maybe even your score predictions. So pop those in the comments below. If you're a Wycombe Wanderers fan, we always welcome comments from fans from the opposition teams. So we'd love to hear your comments as well about your team, your expectations for the rest of the season, and maybe your score predictions. So pop those below the video as well. If you did like this video, then don't forget to give us a thumbs up. And if you haven't checked us out on our social media channels already, then pop along to our X page and our Instagram page. And if you like to watch or listen to your podcast on Spotify, you'll also find us there, and you'll see the handles appearing on the screen for all of these right now. If you haven't subscribed to the channel already and you'd like to, then please hit the big red subscribe button. And if you like notifications every time we put a new podcast out, hit that bell icon, and then you'll get a notification on your phone or device every time a video is published. So that's it for this podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. Myself and Matt will see you on the next one, all about Birmingham City.